Hey guys, Dragon Ball for Life here today, and I'm back with another video. Now, today's video, we're going to be reacting to a YouTube channel called Jobbers and Goons. His video, Itachi Uchiha versus Batman, The Honest Truth. Now, this was actually suggested to me by a subscriber of mine by the name of Sunik Sinu. He said to check this one out, and that, when I heard it, I thought it was quite interesting because usually when it comes to Itachi being compared to or fighting other characters, it isn't. I don't remember if I've ever seen anybody mention or say that, talk about Itachi versus Batman before. So this is new idea to me, but I think it's a pretty cool one because Itachi is very skilled, he's very intelligent, and he's very deadly. But Batman, he's been able to take down enemies far more dangerous, far bigger threats and stuff like that. But the biggest, thing for Itachi is his ability, his Sharingan with having the Genjutsu. One, he can read Batman's movements. Two, he can cast genjutsus in his mind and stuff. And I know that not all genjutsus work outside of the Narutoverse because it directly attacks the chakra networks and the chakra points in their head. But there are some of them, especially these bigger ones, that directly attack the brain and don't need chakra networks. So it can work on Batman. But then Batman is shown to have some psychic resistance before. But then again, it's very inconsistent, and it doesn't mean he could do it against Itachi. So who knows? But even then, Batman's smart enough to not, face him up right away. But then it also goes through the argument of, would Batman know that he has these abilities? Because if we're saying like as a fight scenario where they meet up, unless if he was just analyzing from afar, then I guess you can say that. But if he's going up toe to toe with him, face to face, then he can't really do that. That's not gonna work out. So yeah, I thought this was pretty interesting, and it's actually kind of ironic because I've been working on a video. I've been a little bit lazy, so sorry for that. But I've been working on a video about Itachi and his Sharingan myself. So I'll be dropping that out sometime in the future. Hopefully sooner. I do get lazy sometimes, and stuff in my life has changed quite a bit right now. So I'm going through a couple stuff. Also, I'm a little sick, so sorry for that. My voice is gonna sound a little weird, and some parts I'm gonna be stopping here and there because I do have a sore throat and stuff. So yeah, but whatever. Let's just get into it.
Okay, so today is probably going to be one of my most controversial and complicated videos because this is where, as a community, we decide where we stand when it comes to power scaling. Because when I floated this idea, and the reason I floated it is literally someone paid for this video to happen, so shout out to my member for donating for this video. But when I floated the idea, I was curious to see, what people thought of the matchup, what side they were on. The answer to me after research, kind of obvious, but just looking at it, seeing all the comments and quick responses, first of all, obviously, it's a matchup that has some draw to it, and I can definitely see why. Both are brilliant characters. Both are some of the most beloved in their verse and the craftiest in their verse, and they're also super edgy. So with that in mind, I get the appeal there, but I was shocked by the comments and the overwhelming leaning on one side. So I decided to go ahead and review Itachi versus Batman. I'm going to go over Itachi first. We're going to review the win cons for Itachi, and we are going to see if Batman has what it takes to even, respond to Itachi. If you like videos like this, analysis like this, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. If you like content similar to this, check the video description for the coffee shop members. These are fellow content creators that make amazing content. Definitely check them out. They're similar to my stuff, and I think you'll enjoy them. But anyway, let's go ahead and break down this matchup and decide once and for all who would win if these two iconic characters, one from comics, one from manga, were to clash. First up, let's look at Itachi. Who is Itachi? Itachi Uchiha is one of the most famous ninja in all of the Narutoverse. The older brother to Sasuke Uchiha, the main rival to the protagonist Naruto. When we look at Itachi, he's viewed, even in his verse, as one of the smartest characters to ever exist. And he's famously a member of the Akatsuki, which he joined after, quote, betraying the Leaf Village and assassinating his entire clan. Now, Akatsuki members, this is important, each one specifically are employed with the task of capturing Jinchuriki and tailed beasts. thus they should be up to par, and they have to be strong enough to do so. These tailed beasts have feats that put them anywhere from like country to continental, multi-continental. So you have to be able to be somewhat in that range to even capture them. One of the weaker Akatsuki members, Datara, blew up a Three Tails, stating he did a vast majority of the work. So this is important because Itachi's way above. Sasuke was able to beat Datara and casually blitzed him in hand-to-hand combat. Orochimaru says Sasuke was in a different league from Three Tails Naruto. Three-tailed cloak, that is, for those that don't know Naruto as much. There's several tailed beasts. And then Sasuke absorbs Orochimaru, becomes stronger. And this is important because Itachi goes on to fight Sasuke when he's near death because of ninja aids. And at any point in the fight, basically Itachi could have ended the fight. He was blatantly stronger than Sasuke even near death. The Sharingan allows the user precognition, and this is amplified when they develop the Mangekyo, which obviously Itachi has. Itachi's first Mangekyo ability is Tsukiyomi. It is one of the most strongest and potent genjutsu in Naruto. It is a mind hack that it can make you live out your whole life in like a picosecond, and can potentially one-shot with mind hacks. Amaterasu is his second ability. It spawns on whatever target his eye is focused on, and it burns until there is nothing left. It's also said to be almost as hot as the sun. He also has his massive Susanoo in case things go south. And this, of course, comes with some specific weapons that amp him. In particular, the Totsuka Blade and Yata Mirror. The Yata Mirror is stated to reflect all attacks, and the Totsuka Blade seals away the target and puts them in an internal genjutsu if it cuts them.
Okay, so I'll say this. There isn't really much I have to say about this right now, besides a couple of things. But yeah, he's explaining it very well. Like I said, I was going to be doing a video on Itachi's, Sharingan, the genjutsus and stuff, and, how effective it will be against, a specific other character from another, verse. But the thing about Itachi is, yes, Batman has fought stronger opponents than Itachi, even though Itachi's still pretty powerful. He's fought even stronger ones than him, but I think the biggest problem for Batman will be the psychic attacks, because even if he can, compensate for the strength, speed, and durability of Itachi and his other techniques through, machines that he's used against, like Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, the Flash, and stuff like that, he hasn't really fought psychic guys. Yes, he's fought Martian Manhunter, but usually all he has to use is fire, and he's never really been hit with a psychic attack. But him being trapped in a psychic illusion, the only way you can beat it, like I said before, was one, you have some psychic resistance, or two, you have some complete, like you can negate psychic attacks altogether. But Batman's still a human, and even if he can have some psychic resistance, remember, Itachi's psychic attacks and abilities are on high level. I wouldn't say they're the highest, because there's other characters in other fictions that are insanely way more powerful, but his is decently high level of psychic abilities, whereas Batman, even if he does have psychic blocking where they're shown in the comics, I do think it's a little bit over exaggerated. I do think that the times when the characters he's using it against, those characters are using on more of a simpler, more basic level of psychic attack. But this one is like on a high end, so I don't think Batman has anything that could beat that, unless we have some suit that can block out psychic attacks or psychic illusions. And we've seen him being caught with, Scarecrow's fear toxin, and it's worked on him. Yes, he's been able to fight through it, but that's just a chemical toxin that just makes you see fear. Whereas this one, he can literally attack you. We saw what he did to Kakashi, and Kakashi has a Sharingan of his own where he can combat, psychic attacks, and he couldn't even fight it. Now, obviously, Batman, strategic-wise, is smarter than any of the other characters in Naruto, but when it comes to Naruto characters and their strategy, when it comes to fighting other people with chakra, it's higher than Batman. Batman doesn't fight these people. So even if you say argument-wise that Batman is smarter than Kakashi or Itachi or any of these other guys, he's still not insanely smarter than them. They're still pretty smart, but even if he is a lot smarter than them, they have more knowledge and prowess when it comes to fighting against people like that, where Batman doesn't. He has prowess against fighting against superpowered beings, but those superpowered beings don't use chakra and don't have these type of power sets, and the power system in Naruto is significantly different, so it's going to be a lot more hard for him. Also, I want to say this, This doesn't have anything particular to do with the topic, but I do like the music choice he put in there. I've been trying to implement more music into my videos, like, a bit of it in the background. If you guys like it, I'll do it more. And sometimes, I don't know, because I'm more in the building phase of that. Of you guys wanted me to make the music a little bit louder, because I know sometimes people make it too loud and you can't hear what they say, but I don't. I make it a little bit quieter. So if you guys want me to make it a little bit louder, I can. But yeah, I like the music choices he made. I want to know what he uses. So soothing. But yeah, let's get back into it.
His Susanoo also has the beads, which are essentially a massive grenade. He used these to destroy the Chibaku Tensei, and it was likely his strongest technique since he was like, yo, we have to use our strongest attack to overcome this. So yeah, that's Itachi scaling. Obviously, based on who he's beaten, who I've mentioned, he also should scale FTL, given he's dealt with characters that deal with light speed attacks. And scale massively above lightning. So yeah, there we go for Itachi. Now, what are the arguments in this? What are the win cons? First up, could Itachi mind hacks Batman? Does Batman have an answer for the Genjutsu? I'm gonna review what Batman's resistances are to mind hacks, and y'all can decide what you think. But I'll also give my opinion each time we address a point. So. He, with no help, even like early on, was able to resist Poison Ivy, who can mind hacks even Superman. He can scramble his own thoughts endlessly to neg a telepath. He has been able to resist Starro, like blatantly, and rip him off his face. He has auto defenses against mind hacks. It resets his brain and can cause seizures if one should try to attack him and mind hacks him. He has resisted his neurons literally being manipulated during mind hacks, and it did nothing to him. Actually hurt the character trying to do it, and it was commented like, yo, that's a waste of time. He also, at one point, came into contact with a character called Synapse Kid. Synapse Kid went into a coma trying to mind hacks Batman. There's two different psyches within Batman, both of them with really good mind hacks resistances. One, of course, being Batman, and one being Bruce Wayne. Batman has also negged mind hacks that dropped everyone in the Justice League except himself and Martian Manhunter. Before you think this wasn't impressive or like it was random, this was Martian Manhunter's brother performing the mind hacks, and Batman was easily able to resist it. Manhunter says Nudge using mind hacks on Batman was an absolute waste. Nudge has literally been able to influence the minds of Green Lanterns who can resist telepathy with willpower, and Batman had better resistances. His personal despair and pain can be weaponized as a defense for a mind hacks. He can also weaponize his own memories to overwhelm you. So like if you go into his mind and try to overwhelm him with memories or use his memories or access them, he can weaponize those to emotionally overwhelm you. He has resisted mind control that directly was shown literally right next to him, overwhelming Superman. He has also resisted mind hacks for 26 hours straight. So overall, those are the mind hacks resisted, some of them at least, that I could find, in the several hours before this. Just going through my old Batman stuff. So, yeah, I definitely would say Batman could resist any Genjutsu Itachi's thrown his way. White Martians and Martians in general have massively above any telepathic feats shown in Naruto. It's not even close. Batman's trained. He can use willpower. He has specific techniques and abilities to negate mind hacks. He has complete awareness when he's being mind hacked. And he's just shown time and time again defending against mind hacks superior to Itachi's, and characters that are inferior to him in mind hacks, like they don't show the necessary power to usurp his defenses, they get overwhelmed and sometimes literally like start seizing up and get dropped. So Itachi might get hurt trying to play in old Brucey's head. So, I hopefully your boy Itachi avoids that route. In my opinion, Genjutsu is a horrible idea.
Okay, so he did bring up a lot of points and arguments, and I do think that's great, but we also need to look at how these universes work with these systems. And the problem with DC Universe is the writers, and maybe this might be a cop out, but the writers are kind of idiots when it comes to writing this stuff, because in DC and Marvel and stuff like comic books, the Americans' way of and this might, it's weird, but in America for some reason the way they think of, like, every time when you see a story with psychic attacks and stuff, it's always the person can break out of it just by having strong will. You see a character that's mind controlled or manipulated, like fight it, and they break out of it. But in reality, not in reality, because it's not real, but if somebody did have ability to psychic attack you, your willpower is not enough to break you out of it. That doesn't really make sense, because if that was the case, then that would be saying like somebody like Itachi and not Itachi, but saying something like, Sasuke and Naruto do not have strong willpower. Naruto literally has the no quit mentality in his mind. So, let's say we put Naruto into the DC universe and we had these psychic guys use their attacks on him, it wouldn't work on him either. Why? Because in DC and Marvel, the way it works to defend off of psychic attacks any type is just having strong willpower, which is a lazy cop out. Whereas in anime, especially in Naruto, it isn't that simple. You can't just break out of psychic attacks because you have willpower. You have to have some psychic abilities to negate that. That's the only way, or have some way to transfer the energy to break out of it. So I do think it is, and this is why it's complex to do these battles between characters, because yes, it doesn't work against people like in Batman, but in the DC universe, all you need is a strong willpower to break out of it. Whereas in in anime, especially in Naruto, strong willpower is not going to do shit to break out of it. Because that's basically saying that everybody in the Naruto, because they all got like the Mangekyo, not Mangekyo, it was the Infinite Tsukuyomi, they all got trapped in it. Are you saying that everybody in Naruto does not have strong enough willpower? That's just BS to me. I just think that in Naruto, the way psychic powers work is, when a psychic attack works on you, it's indefinite. You cannot go against it unless you have psychic abilities of your own. Whereas in DC and Marvel, you don't need to have psychic resistance or abilities. You just need to have strong enough willpower to fight it back. So it can be a little confusing and a little tricky there when it comes to that. But yeah, I guess you can use that as an argument, but for me, like for Poison Ivy's thing, hers is more chemical. Superman being mind hacks and stuff, it's different because Superman actually, people don't know this, but he does have vulnerabilities to psychic attacks and like telekinesis attacks too. Have you seen some comic books? He's been mind controlled before. He's been psychically attacked. He's been hit with like psychic or what's it called, telekinetic blasts and stuff that actually have hurt him. Same thing with Flash. He can get KO'd by it. And Martian Manhunter's psychic abilities are kind of stupid because it doesn't work on Joker because he's too crazy. But in other fictional worlds, being crazy is not gonna be able to negate psychic attacks. Because in DC's world, you need to be like able to connect with their mind, and if their mind's too crazy, you can't do that. But in like other animes, you don't need to connect to their mind. You just need to be able to, overpower it, and that's it. So I think this is a little more confusing, more tricky, and I know what I'm saying kind of sounds like a little bit like a cop-out, I understand that, but I just think that the way they write psychic attacks or psychic abilities in DC and Marvel is pretty weak. The way they do is really pathetic, that you can easily break out of it just by having willpower, whereas in, Naruto and stuff like that, willpower is not alone is not enough. Because if that was the case, like I said, Naruto would have been able to break out of it. Kakashi would have been able to break out of it. You see all these other characters who have strong willpower, and yes, Batman has a strong one, but he, even if they can't break out of it, they should have been able to have a decent level of resistance, but they don't. Look at when he used it against Itachi used it against what's his name against. Obito would not quit. He was keep on going, and the psychic attack, what it was doing is it worked on people that no matter like the stronger their willpower is to never give up, the more impossible it would be for them to break out of it. So they have to really accept defeat. But in DC's universe, apparently you just have to have strong willpower. But if that was the case, like I said, Obito would have been able to break out of it. So if we're going by their logic and the way they do, they'll break out of it. But then it becomes a battle of, well, he can break out of it in his universe with just willpower, so he just needs willpower. But then you can also use the argument for Itachi saying, well, in their universe, willpower cannot break through psychic attacks. You can't just break through willpower. You need psychic abilities. So it gets confusing, and that's why I say it's harder and more trickier to do battles between characters from different universes, because because you have to take into consideration the ways their universes operate. And I think that's the hardest thing to do when it comes to doing this is their different universes and how they handle it. So yeah, but let's get back into it.
For Itachi, but yeah, in my opinion, genjutsu and mind hacks are not a winning condition for Itachi. If you go look at Batman's history, definitely has faced way worse telepathically in mind hacks and casually negged it. Moving on. Biggest question I had going into this video. Does Batman have the AP? Does he have the stuff? Is he carrying around gear that can hurt Itachi? Because that's what, like, even if he can neg the mind hacks, right? He's got to be able to fight Itachi. He's got to be able to do something, not just survive. You're just delaying the inevitable at that point. So does he have any gear that can make an impact on Itachi? Let's review. So he has, this was funny, he has metahuman cuffs. These cuffs are important because literally he worked on the design with Mr. Miracle himself, a character who literally can escape traps set by gods, like concepts. And these were made to be unbreakable and like you can't escape them. Even Cheetah, who fights Wonder Woman on the regular, was held by them. His hook, grappling hook, when weaponized, actually can blast through parademons, which can fight members of the Justice League. His hooks have also one-shot Killer Croc, who's taken hits, multiple hits from King Shark. He has one-shot Metallo with an electric hook, as his grappling hooks can be electrocuted right away. His gel, or hardening gel, can actually like one-shot Black Canary, and she couldn't break through it with her voice. His area of effect for his gel has been shown to like almost immediately cover a massive skyscraper. So the material can definitely, easily, almost instantly cover something even as big as the Susanoo, for those that have a question about that. He has explosive blinding gel as well. If he aims for your eyes, it'll explode into your eyes. He has gear that'll allow him to make smoke clones. So like he could drop a smoke trap and it produces Batman-looking clones in there that can distract you. His smoke as well can be weaponized to burn you, and it feels like it's burning your skin and insides. He can also blind Superman with tech he has as like a metahuman flashbang. This is consistent as he has literally used the same tech on Dark Supergirl when she thought shit was sweet and tried to blitz him.
Okay, so here's a couple of things about these gadgets. The grapple hooks showing some impressive stuff, but the people that it hurt weren't on Itachi's physical level. The smoke thingy wouldn't really work because he could, like, sense there's no energy in it, so he wouldn't be attacking a smoke clone. I mean, even shadow clones, he could see through them pretty well, and shadow clones have chakra networks that they are able to distribute, so he could see through the smoke ones. But even if he did attack it, I highly doubt the smoke would be enough to burn his skin, because, like, they use fire genjutsus all the time. I don't think a little bit of a heated up smoke would do anything. Also, this blinding thing, this might definitely work out, but sorry for the weird jump cut. There is a stupid ass truck outside, but what I'm saying is the blinding thing, it will work on him because, yes, all you need is something bright, because it's not like he has some protective ability where his eyes can, light cannot blind him or whatever. But I do want to say this, that people are going to use that, well, this can even blind Superman. But the thing is, technically, it'll be easier to blind Superman because since he has supervision, like, Daredevil, he has super senses. If you have something that attacks those super senses, he will be more perceptive to it. So, for example, Daredevil has super hearing. So if you put something at a high-pitched frequency that won't even affect normal people, it will hurt him a lot more because he's more attuned to it. So Superman, he's been hurt by, high-pitched frequency stuff and blinding lights. So because his senses are more heightened, it will be more of a detriment to him. Having heightened senses will not protect against it. It will actually do the opposite effect. So blinding Superman is not that hard. It's actually a lot easier than blinding a regular person because his super senses are on top of it. But even with that being said, it will definitely blind Itachi, and that will take away a lot of his power and stuff like that. But he still is, great as a ninja. He can hear and stuff, so I think he can really handle it still.
She was like, yo, you're just a man. I'll literally kill you. I don't know why anyone hasn't like blitzed you and just killed you. And he said, "Bitch, I'm not just a man. I'm Batman, stupid." And she had to sit down with her goofy ass because she tried to blitz. So he definitely has tech for that. Spectre pulled up on him. He also used the technology to blind Spectre and get away. His explosives can bop Amazons pretty casually. His explosive also have one tap to Killer Croc. He carries potent enough explosives to drop Doomsday clones. He's rocked damage as well, which is like DC's version of a Kmart Hulk.
Okay, if he took down damage and Doomsday with his grenades, I think he could take down Itachi. Because, like they said, Datara took down these, Jinchurikis, and he's stronger than them, but I can't say he's infinitely stronger than them. And Datara just used giant explosives. So, giant explosives again against Itachi could work. Because remember, Itachi and these guys are not. Even at the highest, we could argue it's planet level, but mostly they're not that insane because we've seen paper bombs work against them and stuff. So they do have a decent level of durability, but compared to other anime characters, their durability is pretty abysmal. And I can definitely see Batman's explosives work on him. Like I said, he has really his psychic abilities. I think that's the really definitive way that he can beat Batman. And his argument, he's saying that even though psychic attacks couldn't work on him, I feel like it's a little bit more complex due to the way they handle psychic abilities in DC. Because if I'm being honest, if you take any character from Dragon Ball into the DC universe, that means nobody in the DC universe's psychic abilities should work on any character from the Dragon Ball universe because they have too much strong will and they also have psychic abilities of their own. So technically, the psychics in DC are insanely weak compared to other fictional universes. But even with that argument, we're gonna go by his one where he's saying that it wouldn't work on him. If that doesn't work, then I don't see Itachi beating him because, like I said, he is infinitely better than him in all his other stats. But Batman has all these gadgets that have worked on characters that are even stronger than him by leaps and bounds. So Itachi can use those, but if Batman can hurt Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, where the hell is Itachi is nowhere near that level. So yeah, since he negated that, I think he would completely beat Itachi. But I do think that Itachi's Genjutsu would work on him, and Tsukuyomi would work on Batman, even with the way they work in their universe. Because I think in the Naruto universe, because the way we've seen it, that doesn't willpower doesn't work alone. Because like I said, Naruto has strong ass willpower. That guy does not give up. He does not stop fighting. So if his willpower is not enough, then I don't think Batman's willpower would be enough to beat it either. Even though I do think Batman might have stronger willpower than Naruto, but Naruto couldn't even do anything with his. So that's just where I get from that. But but still, if he's going physical levels, stats, on the surface, it looks like he could beat him, but he's beating people that are physically way stronger than Itachi could ever be. So yeah, I don't see Itachi beating Batman on that regard. So yeah, just going through it a little more, I just think that this debate's a little more tricky due to how the universes handle the psychic ability. But like I said, without that, Itachi doesn't win, even though he's technically stronger than him in all his other regards. But let's be honest, Batman with his suits and inventions is just way beyond him.
His explosives have wrecked constructs, constructs similar to lantern constructs. He's hurt and briefly staggered and amped Superboy, not Superboy Prime for casuals that get carried away, Jonathan Kent. So it's very impressive. Jonathan Kent will beat the shit out of Itachi. His explosives that he typically carries hits harder than Superman's vision when used destructively. He can also knock back Superman in one of their first supposed encounters. His explosives in those situations are potent enough to at least knock him back. He can cut Gorilla Grodd with his batarangs. And also for those questioning, why doesn't he use these all the time? Dumb bitch. If he used these explosives all the time, if he chose these weapons all the time, half of Gotham's underworld blows up. Instantly. He's killing pretty much everybody. He doesn't want to do that. But when you're strong enough to handle it, he brings the heat, son. So, he's going to bring it out for big boys. Itachi's stronger than Penguin. Get the hell out of here. He's not going to use the same weaponry on the same class of characters. That's not how Batman operates. That's stupid. That's like expecting Michael Jordan to play a 3-year-old the way he plays another NBA player. It's not what happens. Batman uses his gear according to who he's fighting, because he's not brutal. Like, he's not trying to just slaughter people. If he was, comics would be way better, but he doesn't. So besides that mini rant, that's just a brief explanation of why against certain characters he uses better gear. He does carry it, it's just he's not as pressed to use it against certain types. He's managed to cut Lobo before, that was casually beating up Red Lanterns in the same run. He took out an Amazo clone and can physically tear apart non-physical beings, or like non-tangible beings, with nth metal batarangs. He has KO toxins that can work on gods from Apocalypse. He has folded people with fear gas before. His lasers are on par with Lantern's AP, as he was literally shown cutting through something with Hal at the same time. His lasers have also been able to, or his tasers at least, momentarily hurt Superman. He does also possess cold attacks that are so potent they literally can freeze something that's not even tangible, which shouldn't be possible. His acid is special and can actually burn constructs that were created by Simon Baz, and we saw Baz's chest literally burning up and through the construct itself. He has been forced to go toe-to-toe with demonic Wonder Woman before with no prep, and managed to hold his own. So overall, in terms of does he have stuff that...
And another thing I'll say, the explosives thing, for when writers do that, I think is a dumb thing to do, because you're telling me an explosive can hurt these characters like Superman and stuff like that, even if it doesn't take them out. You're telling me an explosive because let's think about it logically. A nuke should not be able to handle them unless you're telling me this grenade has power beyond that of a nuke. If this character's a planet, can take planet destroying attacks and getting hurt by a bomb, there's no bomb in the world that he can create that can be above planet level, especially if it's a grenade. So when they do that in comics and stuff like that, it doesn't make the tech look more powerful, it makes the character look more weak, because it's like, well, the character's getting hurt by these tech. You can say it's advanced tech, but it's like, well, if this character can survive planet level destruction, then you're arguing that these explosives are planet level destroying, so he could throw it and destroy a planet. But that's not realistic. So I just don't like when writers do that. This has nothing to do with goons and jobbers, or jobbers and goons himself, but I do hate when they do that in the writing itself. But he does have tech that can, armor and stuff that he can beat them. But the thing is, usually, most of the times when he does use this advanced stuff, he does get beaten. The only times he really beats somebody is when they have a blatantly obvious weakness that he can exploit. But if it's a character that doesn't, it's kind of hard to do that against. But definitely it can work against Itachi, like I said. I don't think Itachi has anything that can go against it.
Can hurt Itachi. What do you guys think? Personally, I think he does. I think clearly if he can stagger Superman types, Kryptonians, with the gear he has, if he sees Itachi as a way stronger character, if he pulls out the Susano, that bitch is getting bombed. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, he said that, he could beat, he beating up all these other characters, took Superman, but let's be honest, of the writers always want to give Batman a fair chance to look good, but if we're being realistic, if these guys were being strategic, they could have speed blitzed Superman and Batman and killed him, because these characters can move so fast that time stops. So even if Batman has all this stuff, how is he going to be able to protect himself when time is frozen? Literally, if they were using their powers correctly. This is the argument that a lot of Superman fans say, because Batman fans are like, Batman can beat Superman and stuff like that, and Superman fans are like, well, the reason it is because it's always just, they give him, plot armor. And this is definitely plot armor, because logically Superman can't move fast enough where he can be frozen in time. So Itachi could do the same thing where, even if Batman has all these gadgets, if Itachi can move so fast that he can intercept Batman before he can even use them, then it doesn't matter how powerful they are if he can just do that, because that way he can move his armor and stab him and kill him. And people say, well, Superman has fought him and he's never done that, but like I said, that is through a writing narrative where they try to make Superman and him have more equal footing. But if they're being more realistic with it, he should be able to kill him. So then we can, you can make an argument for Itachi saying, well, this is going to be a fight, but this is not going to be an unfair one like in DC where they give Batman BS excuses on why they don't speed blitz him. We're going to be doing a realistic fighting sense of Itachi versus him, and in a realistic fighting sense, Itachi would speed blitz him and can't speed blitz him, and Batman can't do anything against that unless he has some naturally protective shield on him automatically. But from what he's saying, he doesn't. But yeah, that's the way I see it. So it's like, yes, you can use the argument that Batman's been able to handle these powerful characters, but then it's like also, well, it's like, well, the writing, it gives him the plot is the only reason that he's able to survive, because logically they should be able to speed blitz him. So if we're gonna use it in a real battle of like these two guys are trying to kill each other, technically they have the ability to speed blitz him and he can't do anything, and he won't have the writing, because the only reason he wins is because DC wants him to make look good. But in this fight, there's no favoritism. There's no he has this BS reasoning on why they don't do it. They will just do it. So technically, if you look at it through that aspect, where it's like, well, if you look at through the writing narrative of what we've seen in DC, Batman's been able to handle guys like this. But then if you look at it, well, that's because they want to protect him. But if we put him in a fighting sense where he doesn't have that BS protection anymore, plot armor, because in these fights you can't have plot armor. You detach the plot armor, you could just say, well, he was speed blitz him even though he has tech that can hurt him. He can't really catch up to him physically, so yeah.
He definitely has gear that I believe can hurt Itachi. So we got that question out of the way. That was my biggest question going into this. Like, does he even have anything that can hurt him? Especially with Susanoo? Yes, he does. If we were to assume the Yadamura literally negs any attack you throw its way, it's not a 360 defense. Batman can make it rain. The stuff he throws overhead, Yadamura would be forced to block, and if he does raise the Yadamura to block, Batman's blast him in the chest with an explosive. Okay, so several ways that can go, but in my opinion, Batman does have gear, serious gear he carries around that can indeed hurt Itachi. Now let's move on. Random encounters or encounters where he didn't really prep, right? He just got pulled up on. Let's see who Batman has fought and stood against and gone against, because we have to... Itachi is physically above him. Should be, right? At least for the most part. We got to figure out if Batman can still contend with him. Because obviously characters can contend with physically superior characters if skilled enough, or maybe as physically gifted in certain areas. So in terms of speed, I'm going to go over who he's reacted to and fought, and you let me know if you think he could react to Itachi. So, like I mentioned briefly, he's been able to react to demonic Wonder Woman, and he was literally with standard gear when he was doing this. He has swapped hands with Morgana Le Fay, the ancient witch bitch, and he pulled up on her, no prep, and was able to be fine. She can fight members of the Justice League. While suppressed, because he literally wasn't really remembering who he was able to defeat Vandal Savage, who is one of the more impressive, quote, street tiers from DC. He folded Artemis, who is one of the high-tier Amazonian warriors. He casually folded Hawk Girl in one-on-one combat because she was getting out of pocket. He has defeated a light construct user who was literally shown scrapping lanterns at the same time and mopped him. And obviously reacted and even blitzed at some points. He has countered an enraged Wonder Woman for several panels, which is insanely impressive. Like, no way you think enraged Wonder Woman is slower than Itachi. If you do, comment down below because you're a real one. But if you if you don't, you're in the same boat as me. I don't see Itachi being faster than her. And the fact he was able to react for several panels and even tag her was crazy. He's taken down a monster of apocalyptic origin before. He has held off Essence in the Batcave, who should scale around Superman level. He also instantly used his stealth suit to evade, and he also took several hits from Essence himself and was okay. He folded a rookie lantern pretty casually and was actually pissed off at Guy Gardner. He, on top of what feats he has performed before, like in older comics, we've been informed that he should be faster now, and this is somewhat explained with Dionysium being like one of the factors. The fact he was exposed to it has boosted his physicals. He's blatantly faster than Deadshot, who can shoot and pop speedsters, who are MFTL plus lowballed.
That's the thing, like I stated, the writing in DC is atrocious. So when I see people say that this character can beat that person, it's just like, well, these superpowered beings have been tagged by people that are regular humans. If they're against another superpowered being who knows how to fight, they're not going to beat them. So the argument for me, personally, I would make, if I was an Itachi fan, would be, well, the reason he's able to hit them is, though they are fast naturally, they are not fast combat wise, and this showcases it because if they're able to get tagged by regular people, maybe they're not as fast as a lot of people think they are, because that's the writing, the way they do it. When they're against another superpowered being, then they go crazy with their speed, they're doing crazy ass shit. But when they're against a regular person, to give that regular person a more of an advantage, they make them slower or be able to easily hit or catch somehow, which doesn't make any sense. Like if you're against another speed super fast person and they're struggling to hit you, but then you're against a regular person, they're able to hit you, it's like, what the fuck is happening? So I do think that is bad writing, but that doesn't change the fact that he's able to tag these people. But the argument you can make is, well, they might be fast and flying, but in combat speed they're not that fast, because technically if they were, Batman shouldn't be able to reach them, unless you're saying Batman combat speed reaches light speed levels, which does not make sense for somebody like Batman or a street level character to be light speed levels in combat. It's more realistic that the guy that's light speed is not as fast, because people always look at it one way. They're like, well, he was able to hit a character that goes that fast, that means he's that fast. But the argument, you can use a counter argument saying, or that person is not that fast because they were able to get hit by the person that's that much slower than them. Because the way they do it in DC, I don't know why, but whenever it's like characters that have powers against each other, they go off and they have like ridiculous like battles. But when against the regular person, then they're a lot weaker. Like when they're against another superpower being, they can be overpowered. But when they're against a regular person, they nerf them. So I think this is more of a case of not that Batman reaches their level, but more of these superpowered characters. For the regular street level characters to be able to handle them, they have to nerf them to their level to make it sound like it's more fair. But in reality, it wouldn't make any sense if you're thinking logically. A street level character, even with peak human level, reflexes, should not be able to catch or tag somebody with faster than light reflexes or movements, unless they're saying that they're only faster than light when it comes to traveling, but when it comes to combat, they're not. So this one's a little bit iffy for me. And when I see this stuff, like if Batman's able to hurt Wonder Woman and stuff like that, then it's like, why are people so surprised when, Dragon Ball fans say like Goku could beat Superman or Wonder Woman or these or that? Because if Batman can handle them, and he's doing it with his own physical capabilities, then somebody like Goku, who's not only has high level of superpowers in general, but is also a tactician when it comes to fighting, and also is skilled is very hand-to-hand skilled combatant himself. So if they can get beaten by a very skilled and strategic human, then why can't they get beaten up by a very skilled and strategic superpowered being? So that's why I think that the DC characters, their writing is so inconsistent. Sometimes they can be OP, sometimes they can be nerfed. So it's very inconsistent. It's kind of like with Dragon Ball Super with me. I don't like looking in depth in that because it's very inconsistent.
He point blank has been able to evade Etrigan's Hellfire. Etrigan's someone who can tag Superman and Wonder Woman. He's evaded Lantern type light constructs. He has reacted to Johnny Quick, who had to neg his sonic brain scramble in order to survive the psionic attack Batman threw his way. When Supergirl was pissed off, he was able to react to her and get out of the way when she was blowing everything up. He has off guard before evaded lasers. He's evaded and reacted to MFTL heat vision before. He's dodged Lantern Ring Blast, which can literally tag characters like Lobo. He's evaded damage. Like I said, he's the Kmart Hulk. He's easily snagged Impulse, who's a member or should be regarded at least somewhat of a speedster.
Sorry to pause it again so quick, but yeah, he's showing all these speed stuff, so saying he's on that level of speed, which doesn't make any sense. For me personally, more like they nerf the other characters so they can give him a chance to do something. And by that logic, if we were to take Itachi and put him into DC, or a Dragon Ball character into DC, they would be able to handle these guys themselves too. Because if a human can dodge those stuff, then why couldn't these superpowered beings who have also super speed not dodge them? So technically, all this is showing is that their attacks are inconsistent, and that even a human with his reflexes can dodge it. So technically, a superpowered being from these universes can also dodge it. People always talk about anime not making sense, but I think comic books make even less sense when it comes to their writing. They do nerf a lot of these powered characters because, let's be honest, if we're being logical, he should not be able to dodge his attacks. He should be hit. Why is he faster than light? Because if that's the case, then how is he struggling to beat up other characters and hand-to-hand combat against other characters who don't move at the speed of light? Unless you're saying they all move at speed of light, which then is like, then why is that impressive to be able to move or dodge things at the speed of light? Are we seeing Superman doing it? Then why is that impressive if Batman can also do it as a human? It should be more impressive that Batman as a human is doing it. A superpowered being, a Superman, should not be impressive at all. So it's really just inconsistent, and there's a lot of bad writing. We have to do it in the most logical way, and most logically, he should be hit by all those things.
And in Titans Year 1, he casually tagged Kid Flash. So, does Batman have the speed feats and encounters to keep up with Itachi? In my opinion, absolutely. These characters he's reacted to in the clutch, even when they were raging, have way better speed feats than Itachi. And that's the biggest problem for me here. Like I said, circling back to the beginning of the video. If you accept power scaling for what it is, you have to look at those feats I just presented you to for Batman and be like, yeah, he should easily react to Itachi. Now, if you want to argue, oh, no, Itachi low diffs Batman, why? Is it because Batman's, quote, street tier? What's street tier? He has stuff in his belt that consistently hurts Kryptonians. Are Kryptonians street tier? Because if they are, Itachi's below street tier. Okay? That's what it is. So if you think that way, I just believe that's wrong. In the end, if you support power scaling and if you look through history, you're gonna see Batman gets a lot more serious against higher tier foes and has plenty of feats that surpass what Itachi brings to the table. That would allow him to take him down, especially if we're assuming Batman's trying to put him down too. I don't know why we would think he isn't. Genjutsu, definitely not an option for me. That's probably the most confident out of any of the categories I am for Batman is negging Genjutsu. Like, that definitely should not be on the table for anyone. If you look at the mind hacks he's negged in DC, that shit's not close. Itachi gets embarrassed in DC against those telepaths. Don't do that. But in the end, because of what he's accomplished throughout the years, the fact that Rebirth has really hammered home the fact that Batman carries around OD shit all the time. Batman's so paranoid, he literally thinks he's going to get jumped by Superman tier foes all the time. Just walking down the street, he's that paranoid. He keeps contingencies for that. So it should make sense that he carries stuff around that can hurt those types of characters. So in the end, because of the gear he does carry around, the fact he easily can react to Itachi. I'm not saying he blitzes and one-shots Itachi. I don't think he punches hard enough to one-shot Itachi or anything like that. Definitely, though, has the combat reactive speed to get out of the way of whatever Itachi's trying to throw at him. Even Amaterasu, there's no way... Like, we've seen Batman get hit by, heat vision before and Kryptonian vision and survive it. His suit take it. Amaterasu, at best, burns almost as hot as the sun. No way you think that burns hotter than Superman's vision or Kryptonian heat vision. If you do, respect your hustle as well. But I also... Personally, I don't think it would get him. I think he would be able to move as soon as he feels anything starting to materialize. He'll be able to get out the way. Worst case, it would get on his cowl, gets rid of his cowl. If it can even burn through his suit. I don't know if it could. But worst case, he throws off his helmet.
I need to see more context of that one because he's probably wearing a different suit, like a specific suit for that, because he does have different ones. Or... it could be more of the case of this is, because people need to go by what's consistent. Because because by that logic, that means that regular fire should not affect him, but we've seen his suit get burned up and stuff in explosions. We've seen Batman suits getting blown up, explosions, getting stabbed through, getting shot through. So if it's that durable and that flame resistant, then how come explosions are able to burn it? How come, gunshots and knives are able to cut it and tear it, but then physical punches from characters that are stronger can tank it and heat? So it's very inconsistent, or it's just he's using different suits. So I think there's a little more that he has to go into with that. But let's be honest, realistically and logically speaking, Batman, if he was fighting against somebody with super speed, he would be easily beaten. All they would have to do is speed blitz him, take his belt off. He can't because like I said, if you move fast enough where the person can't react, it doesn't matter what contingencies he has. Technically, even Superman fans say that Superman should beat him. It's just that they give him a BS reasoning on why he, is able to stand up. Because logically, Superman could just speed blitz him or shoot lasers from afar and kill him. Because he's got hurt by Bane, he got his back broken while in his suit. So why can't Superman kill him with the heat vision or punch him and stuff? But realistically, a speedster should just be able to go fast enough, grab his belt, and have it in his hand, either destroy it or throw it into space, and then Batman would be defenseless. But they want to give Batman to make him look good and other street level characters, because then it's like, well, what's the point of having these characters? If there's characters that's significantly godly, unbelievably powerful, what would be the purpose of having a regular human? They cannot be, or even a advanced human, they cannot handle them. So the only way to do it is to make the superpowered weaker. But usually their argument is that means that these characters are stronger on their level or closer to the level. But for me, it's those characters are weaker and closer to their level or whatever. Because by this logic, he's saying Batman's FTL. I don't think Batman's FTL in any regards. I just think that the writers made those other characters when they're fighting them not go FTL in their fights. Normally they can, but when they're against like street level characters, they make them not move at FTL levels of speed. So yeah, but let's let him finish it up, and I think I'll give my final thoughts on this topic as a whole.
Or cowl wherever it goes, but he's easily fast enough, kept up with characters, way more impressive than Itachi, and has the gear to blow them apart just like he has the gear to blow apart Itachi. In the end, I don't see, I don't even see that big ass Totsuka blade. Like I said, if the Susanoo comes out, I really see Batman pulling out the big gun explosives and putting in work on that big ass Susanoo that just suddenly surprised him. He's not gonna know what it is. It's just going to be massive, and it looks almost magic or divine in nature, and Batman's not going to play around with that. Tachi's not going to like when Batman stops playing around. I think he definitely has the firepower in his belt. He can neg any mind hacks Itachi throws his way. In the end, I definitely see Batman having what it takes to take down Itachi in a random encounter. If you ask me with power scaling, who wins if these two were to clash? Who I'd put my money on? It's on Batman. But anyways, guys.
So that was Jobber and Goon's video of Itachi Uchiha versus Batman, the honest truth. He was stating that Batman would completely destroy him. And it's a little bit more confusing and complex, like I said. If we're going by DC and, what has been shown through DC, yes, Batman has shown to be able to handle that. But if we're looking through logic means... Sorry for that, somebody called. But if we're looking through it in a logical means and sense, logical wise, he still has human levels of reflexes, and somebody with super speed should be able to speed blitz him and take off all his stuff. Unless he's using a mech suit that can move that fast and track, then that's the case. And also, it doesn't make sense that explosives could hurt Superman. Because, like I said, a nuke could not hurt him unless you're saying this grenade has more power than a nuke. And if you're saying Superman is planet level, then this grenade would have to be on the levels of planet level or not. And I highly doubt they're going to go by saying these explosives are planet level. They're just saying that the explosives hurt them. They don't really go into detail. They just happen. But also him catching these speedsters off guard. Yes, naturally they move at faster than speed light. But from my understanding, it seems more like when they fight... When they're fighting against other speedsters, they showcase those feats. But when they're fighting against regular humans, they're not really using that speed because that's the only way they can handle them. So through what is shown through DC Comics, yes, Batman will beat Itachi easily. But from a logical standpoint, like say, let's take away any plot armor Batman gets from the DC Comics. We can take his feats still and take Itachi's feats and put them against each other. I think Itachi would win because logically speaking, he could just speed blitz him and beat him that way. But with his tech itself, the way it's been able to handle other powerful beings, I think he can handle him. And the psychic stuff, like I said, by this logic, that basically means that none of the psychic ability, none of these psychic users should be able to affect characters that have strong willpower. You don't need to have psychic abilities or psychic resistance to beat them. You just need to have strong willpower. So technically, most any character in Dragon Ball would be able to handle any of the psychic attacks from DC, even if they're not psychically prepared, like strong against psychic attacks. The fact that they have strong willpower and that's all that needs to take it, they can handle it. And if somebody like Batman can catch these characters off guard and hit them, or tag them even while they're using their speed, then somebody like Goku and them should be able to. And I don't see why DC fans make it sound like they can't beat them at all when they get hurt by other people that aren't on their level either. They fight against characters multiple times that aren't on their level, that are able to hurt them, but then fighting against a character that is, and that has those abilities also, apparently they can't, so it's just illogical. But I will be dropping out my Itachi video too, where I'm going to be talking about his genjutsu and his tsukuyomi, and if it could work on the specific character. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.